Hello everyone, this is 102 back with the usual of another 2026 Thomas item review. But this time, we won't be looking at one engine. This time, we'll be looking at two engines. And those two engines are Motorized Gordon and Motorized Thomas and Scruffey. So if you remember from the Motorized Rosie review, you probably saw these two, plus two diecast engines that I got, appeared throughout the middle of the video. And the long story short for that is that not only did my Walmart finally come in clutch, but also another Walmart that was about 40 minutes away from my location also came in clutch. So the whole story was on August 13th, at the time of recording this, because at the time of recording this, it's August 14th. On August 13th, technically August 12th, the Walmart that was 40 minutes away got them first, and then later that same day, my Walmart got its shipment in of motorized engines and diecasts, the small engines at least. So on August 13th, at like 8 in the morning, I dashed to my Walmart as fast as I could, and I saw both shipping cases of motorized and a diecast just sitting on the cart pallet. And so I busted them both open as fast as I could, and I realized that my Walmart got case A. So I ended up picking up Gordon, which is one of the engines that I wanted for a while, which meant I was still on the hunt for Case B, which had characters that I needed to finish up for my project, as I needed a second diesel, and I wanted to get another Rosie to test that one, as all my Rosies were weak, except for the one, and I wanted to see if the fourth one would be good, and it wasn't good, but I made it good. But I also wanted to get Thomas and Scruffey, and just so happened, I luckily got lucky with that. So I asked the guy to get him out of the back of the back room for me, and he was nice enough to do so. And so I grabbed my picks, and luckily it ended up being Case B, so I got my hands on Thomas and Scruffey. And that's basically the long story short of how I ended up getting these two. So with that little backstory out of the way, let's take a look at these two. And we're gonna start off with Mr. Gordon. So we're gonna start off by taking a look at his packaging, and it's pretty much the same as everyone else that I've already looked at. Thomas Friends up on the top, YouTube Kids, new Motorized logo, new for 2026. Gordon's egregious promo down here with his red smoke box frames for some reason. Hopefully they update this promo soon, because I'm pretty sure they updated it on his diecast. I may be getting it confused with Henry, because I'm pretty sure they updated his diecast box promo to be more darker green. So hopefully this is an early promo, and they end up updating his promo soon to have black smokebox frames, because the toy, both his diecast and motorized, have black smokebox frames and not these weird red ones. It does make me wonder though, will Diesel have the red running board in the show? Because his toy has a red running board, the promos have a red running board, will the show model have a red running board, but that promo didn't, of his motorized. It's all confusing at the moment. Why are some promos done early, and why are they being redone later on? If Diesel gets a redone promo later on and he has a black deck, I'm going to scream. But we got his name here. It's drawn up Mattel. Side, Thomas and Friends. Other side, Thomas and Friends. Back, absolutely zipple, except for Nitrogen Thomas climbing the barcode. And his assortment was JRX18, with his item number being JRX21. So this is the Walmart assortment. And his production date is 87th day of 2026. let's crack him open. All right, time to get you out of your box, Gordon. I waited like a whole day to open this thing, so yeah. And Gordon is gonna be a little different. Also, his instructions seem to be punched up the side instead of right underneath. Here are those pieces of paper. I will briefly glance over those in a second. We're gonna untwist these 90 degrees. Gordon's front should be free, but his tender is not free because it is being held in there by a piece of plastic. So instead of doing things the hard way and mucking around with this piece of tape and everything, we're gonna do things the easy way. We're gonna take our little scissor here. We're gonna go carefully underneath this plastic. Give it a good cut, like so. And Gordon is free. We can toss this box aside. Whoop! There he is, Mr. Big G. And we're just gonna briefly glance over these. We don't need to look at this. Whoop! This one is exactly the same as the small engines. I find it interesting that they didn't make one for the larger engine chassis. They just decided to reuse the small engine chassis for the instructions, which I find interesting. Like, considering these guys have a slightly different chassis compared to these smaller engines, yeah, you still have to undo only one screw to get into it, but it would have been nice to give these guys their own instruction sheet, considering their chassis looks slightly different from the small engines. But with out of the way, whoop, goodbye instructions. Let's get on to the main man himself. And we're gonna start off by taking a look at his face. Honestly, this Gordon face is alright. It's definitely better than what's on the die-cast. I will say that. I prefer this face to what's on the die-cast, cause the die-cast Gordon looks like he's high on crack. That's all I'm gonna say. This one still looks like he's a little bit high, but not as high as the die-cast face. He's got recessed buffers, so nothing different from his 80th model, but he does have lamp irons on his front, which is a step up from his 80th model. Moving on to the side, he's got a nice long profile, which really makes him look really good. I love that dark blue, honestly. The way this is proportioned, too, really makes him look like his Railway Series counterpart. Mainly that illustration where he's crossing that bridge with those coaches in tow and whatnot. I'll put an image of the illustration up. You probably all know what illustration I'm talking about, but I'll still put an illustration, the image of it up. Here's his top with his square button. This is a nitpick for me, but I really wish they made Gordon's button shape the same shape as his boiler here, so that's more arched, so that it doesn't like stick out like a sore thumb. Because I'm pretty sure this button here is the one they used for Hot Dog James. Because with Hot Dog James, it matches his shape of his boiler perfectly with no issue. This one, it looks like a giant square. It's just poking out of Gordon's top. So yeah, that's just a nitpick. I feel like they could have made it shaped to Gordon's body a bit more. But yeah, that's just a nitpick. Here is the other side. I should also mention he has his double handrails there. So he has like 3 sets of handrails. His cab is a little big. So like his cab is extended forward a bit. So they had to adjust the line work a little bit. So it's not like a perfect square. As it has a slant there. Because they had to adjust it a bit with the cab. All of his wheels line up nicely. He's got that little flangey thing with his front, with his middle wheel there. He's got the little rotating bogies at the front, which is pretty cool. And the front wheels do spin. These back wheels do not spin. They are basically just like the middle wheels here. Has a bit of a sort of flangey thing. Here's his little extra piston detailing. And then here comes like a nitpick with this thing. Okay, from head on, you kind of don't see it as much, but like if you sort of like do it like this, you can really see it. This Gordon is skinny. Like, look at him compared to his tender. His tender is like very thick and wide, and then you look at Gordon and he's just skinny. Like, why is he so skinny? I feel like they should have made him just a little bit wider, because these pistons stick out super far. And I'm pretty sure these pistons are reused from Nia. And they look a bit better on her because she's a lot wider. Like, why is he so skinny? That's my question. I'm guessing they made him skinny so they could make his body work a bit better. But I don't know. And then here we have something that hasn't been done in like over a decade. The manual, I don't know what to call it. The permanent connection between the engine and the tender. And the tender can spin 360 around. And speaking of the tender, here is the tender. He's got that nice big number 4. He's got rivets on the top and the bottom. I forgot to mention Gordon also has rivets. He has rivets, like a little square of rivets there. He's got some rivets on the back, some here on his little wheel arches. He's got a little piston there. Yeah, back to the tender. I like how they added his little door here, his little cab door, tender corridor or whatever. The tender door that opens and shuts. It's also nice because it actually kind of covers up the buffers at the front. So those buffers that shouldn't be there are basically kind of hidden because of this little added door area. And of course, we got the removable coal, which is actually a different mold compared to the 80th anniversary run. It is shorter in height. Can it be placed in all directions? It can be placed in all directions. Okay, so it can be done like that, done like that, done in backwards, and done like that. So it's a perfect square mold compared to the 80th one that can only be placed in like forwards or backwards. Here is the back. We got the giant magnet, and he could do his little tender thingy if he wants to. And the tender chassis itself, despite being punched up into the box, it still with the plastic, it still has the keyhole in it. And I'm pretty sure the only reason it has the keyhole is because Nia also has the permanent connection for some reason. Her cargo car doesn't have any like cargo in it, so that's why it has like the keyhole in it. Because they reused this chassis piece for Nia for her little minecart. But yeah, honestly, not too bad. I really love how this Gordon is proportioned, and except for how skinny he is, that's like my only issue. I really like this Gordon. He looks really, really good. Oh yeah, also, this is a separated piece. And they did it much better than the 80th model, I'll tell you that for sure. But yeah, not a bad Gordon. Why do you say we compare him to some previous Gordons? The first Gordon we're gonna compare this guy to is the Trackmaster Revolution Gordon. And I think it is safe to say that in terms of proportions and things, the 2026 Gordon wins. Yeah, this guy looks way too fat. But also, you can see just how much darker they made him. He's much darker in terms of blue than this Gordon. Here's the front comparison. Yeah, look at how wide this one is. And then look at how skinny this one is. Like, why is he so skinny? They really should have made this Gordon just a little bit wider, kind of like how this one is. Like, I don't get why he's so skinny. Like, when you think about it, those wheels barely only just make it to the area where, like, the wheel arches are. But in terms of detail, yeah, this one wins in terms of detail as well. It did the little flangey thing here a bit nicer than this one. Like, why does it just jump out? The boiler shape is also done a bit nicer because it curves inward and goes straight. Oh, this one's just like a half arch and sticks out pretty far. I will say the cab shape is a little bit nicer from the side on this Gordon. From the back, the new Gordon kind of wins because it has that nice shape to it. The nice Gordon cab shape. Oh, this one's just flat. But really, you can really see how skinny this guy is. Why did they make him so skinny? That's like my main issue with this thing. He's very skinny at the front. Moving on to the tenders. This one's a bit tough to say which one is better. I don't know which one is better. Oh, I just noticed something. This Gordon has rounded buffers on the back of his tender because this chassis piece is a reused piece from like James and Nia. So it's more of a nitpick, but I feel like they maybe could have made a special undercarriage for Gordon. This one has the oval buffers, which is more correct. So that's a plus to the Trackmaster Revolution Gordon. I have to put it on this side because the tender's permanently hooked on. There's the motor sides. I will say these wheels look very spaced apart. That's another thing. I'd say this tender does it a bit better with how the wheels are spaced really close together. But since this is a reused chassis, the wheels have to be spaced apart. And it does look a little jarring, I will say. I feel like they could have made a special chassis for like the tenders and maybe spaced them a little bit closer. But yeah. That was the tender comparison between the Trackmaster Revolution Gordon and just the comparison in general. Now we're gonna get on to some more serious Gordons. The first one we're gonna start off with is the Hit Toy Company Gordon. So, if I line these two up nicely, wheel arch to wheel arch, you can see that they are about the same length in terms of boiler length, except this one has a slightly longer cab than this one. But their boilers are about the same length as each other. This one also rides a bit lower, it seems, as the wheels actually cover the wheel arches. This one, the wheels are just right below the arches, and they don't even cover into them. I mean, this one covers into it once you press it up, but yeah. I will say, I love the wheel config on the new Gordon a bit more with how it has all of its wheels. Also, the running board looks kind of similar too in terms of the way it looks. Let me do it like this. Let me turn them upside down. Try and get these wheels lined up. Yeah, the running board. Okay, the running board on the Tommy Gordon. No, the Hit Toy Gordon is just a bit lower. It rides a bit lower at the front. But the backs are almost the same in terms of the way areas they run at. I may need to line this up a bit better. This is going to be very hard to pull off because both of these have permanent tender connections, and These darn pistons stick out like a sore thumb, so it's hard to get them to be perfectly straight lined up. But the Hit Toys Gordon, the running board rides a bit lower at the back. It also rides lower around the wheel arches compared to the new Gordon. And of course, it rides lower at the front as well. Now let's get on to more comparisons. Also, something I just noticed, right? The face on this Gordon, with how big and wide his mouth is, do you think they were trying to replicate this face? Because this Gordon also has a big, wide, open mouth. As you can see, his nose is about in the same position as well. The only difference is that he's got giant, thick eyebrows now. That's like the only difference. I've got a sneaky suspicion they were trying to replicate the face on the Classic Tommy / Hit Toy Company Gordon. And that's just my sneaky suspicion. And the running boards, they both have lamp irons, except this one's got a plus and has actual buffers that are proper buffers, and this one just has them recessed into the foot plate there. In terms of body proportion, like, look at that. I will say the way the cab is done on this Gordon is a little bit better than this new Gordon, because this one's got a nice skinny cab, and then this piece actually lines up with the diagonal part where it should be, while this one has the bigger extended cab, and this part doesn't really line up where it's supposed to be. And I'm pretty sure 80th Gordon, once we get to him, also has this plus. And they also both have a nice cab shape. I will say, with how skinny this cab is, this one looks a little bit better. This one looks nice, and this one looks very thick, and then the edge isn't as pronounced. Moving on to the tenders. I will say the Hit Toy tender looks better in terms of shape, but in terms of detail, I'd say the new tender wins. Moving on to the back, and this one also has oval buffers. This one has the rounded buffers. Here is the other side for anyone who wants to see that. And then the kind of impossible front view. But yeah, that was the comparison between the Hit Toy Company Gordon. And the last Gordon we're going to compare this guy to is the Big Fat Gordon. That is the 80th anniversary Gordon. Like, I find it so weird. With this Gordon, they made him extremely fat. And now they make him extremely skinny. Like, they make him extremely skinny so they can make his running board look nice. But with this one, they made him too fat so his running board looked all dinky at the front. It's like a tale of Gordons. You get one thing right that another thing messes up. And as you can see here, I will say the gap between the wheels and the arches definitely looks a little bit better on the new Gordon, because it's not as big of a gap, but you can really see what pieces they kind of adjusted from this 80th Gordon to work a bit better on this new Gordon. He's still got a separated piston piece. Actually, fun fact, this blue bit here is actually part of the boiler piece. I wonder if it's the same with this one. I don't think it is, because with this one, it looks like the piston is part of this piece. So it's a little bit different on this Gordon here compared to this one. What else? Oh yeah, the cab shape is definitely a little bit nicer on this Gordon. I can't get over it. The cab shape on this one feels more IRL inspired, more like Railway Series because of how big it is and like the way the lining looks with that angular of a dangular there. I don't know, maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just me because of the dark blue and how big the cab is. Maybe I'm just looking into this too far, but this one has the nice short cab where the firebox bit actually lines up with the angle, excuse me, with the angle where it's supposed to be. So this Gordon here got boiler and cab proportions all nice, but screwed up with the smoke box proportions and made it too big. But this one here got nice front proportions, but a cab that is a bit too big. And they made him like too skinny as well. And then this one is like very fat. But honestly, I don't really mind how fat this is. It's just the front kills me. Speaking of the front, despite this one being more accurate in terms of the way it's done, I'd say this one looks a little bit nicer with the smoke box because it has like the round edge bit. The only reason it has that round edge bit is so it can sort of fit the mechanism for the swiveling bogies at the front here. But yeah. Speaking of smoke box sizes, how big are these smoke boxes? Yeah, the new Gordon has a shorter smoke box length. They really extended this one out way too far, I will say. In terms of length, the new Gordon is just a little bit longer, lining them up back to back like that. I will also say the cab roof on this Gordon looks a bit better because the back part of the shape is more pronounced than this one because of how big and long the cab is. Looking at the faces, this Gordon has a little bit of an advantage because it's got the peanut butter, but this is the greatest moments version. If we were comparing the 2-pack, they'd be equally the same. The piston is actually a different mold compared to the 80th one. It is shrunken down. It has a few alternate details as well. Moving on to the tenders. They look almost the same in terms of detailing, except the rivets are in different positions. On this one, the rivets are on the sides. Well, with this one, the rivets are on the top and the bottom. Oh, and the handrail! The handrail too. On this one, the handrail is inside the lining. And on this one, it's outside of the lining. So that's another difference. And still, I'd say the bigger wheels on the 80th Gordon look better than these nice dinky wheels that are super spaced apart. Because the bigger wheels means that it looks like they're closer together. And both of these Gordons have the incorrect round buffers at the back. So they're both equal in terms of that. And just to show you this, here is the comparison between the coal pieces. The 80th one is much bigger and taller in height. And it's also, this one's a bit more detailed. I like how more condensed the coal looks on the new Gordon. It looks more realistic. This one looks a bit more cartoony. It still looks realistic compared to, like, say, the 2021 Talking Gordon, but I'd say this one looks a little more realistic with how condensed it is. Also, it's a bit darker in terms of color. It's more black than like grayish black. Here's the insides. And yeah, like how this one is a complete square. This one is not a complete square. It can only be placed in forwards and backwards. And since this one also isn't a complete square, it's not gonna fit into the coal space for this Gordon. But this one, yeah, this one will fit into this one, but it is very small, so you can't really see it inside of there. I mean, if you wanted to have like a half-filled coal load for your 80th Gordon, there you go. You can just use this new one. But yeah, also, that footplate spacing, there's a much bigger spacing here compared to here. Yeah. That was Gordon's tender. Also, another thing I just noticed, again, with the handrail, it's on the outside of the lining, it's on the inside of the lining. Also really love how these handrails are like three-dimensional and you can actually feel them. Same with these handrails up here and this handrail back here. It's nice. But yeah, that was the comparison between the 80th anniversary Gordon. Now I think it's time for the part that everyone is all dreading. Does this guy even work? Oh. So my screwdriver is too big to fit into the hole there. Yeah, I might need to find a screwdriver, a different screwdriver. I'll be right back. Alright, so I grabbed like 2 different screwdrivers. We're gonna start off with old school. Only true HunterTube viewers will remember this orange screwdriver. And it seems like this one works. We are into the battery compartment. Alright. Here is the top inside of Gordon here. Very interesting. So these 2 screws remove the button area, and this screw will most likely remove the smoke box and the face. But yeah, you can just really see how skinny this guy is just by taking his top shell off. I don't understand why he's so skinny. Here is the chassis. That looks very interesting. I don't know how loose that looks. I feel like it should be tighter maybe. We're gonna pop the battery in. Alright. He seems to have alright speed. He seems to have maybe some torque. We're gonna test that in a little bit once we get to the track testing. I will test both of them at the same time, by the way. Screw the cover back on. And away we go. So, what are my final thoughts on the 2026 Motorized Gordon? I'd say he's a pretty good looking model. And I definitely suggest you pick this one up because honestly, he's my favorite of the tender engines that have been released so far. James definitely looks too long. Nia doesn't count as a tender engine, even though she's technically a big engine. But yeah, out of all the tender engines released so far, Gordon is my favorite. Technically, Emily is released, but not in the US yet, so I'm not counting her. She definitely trumps Gordon in terms of how good she looks. But I'll have to see that for myself. Emily is also up there with Gordon, but what do I give my rating on this Gordon? I'd give him a 9 out of 10. As really, my only nitpick with him is just how skinny his front is. And it just looks very off-putting compared to how big and wide the tender is. But yeah, before we take him down to the track and give him his test run, we need to look at our next character. Thomas and Scruffy. So, I won't really go into as much detail with Thomas since I already technically did a huge overview of him. If you want to see me go in depth with looking at Thomas, look back at the Cranky set review. The main reason I got this pack was for Scruffy here. This is the only reason why I got this pack, was for Scruffy. There was like no point in getting Thomas's 2-pack. Oh, you know what's even funnier, right? For some reason, they put both this Thomas and the Wave 1 Thomas in the same case assortment. Excuse me? Huh? Why would you put both Thomases in the same case? That's not a good move. Anyway, looking at the box, it's the same as Gordon. Thomas Brands. Promos down here. We got the egregious Thomas promo, and we got Scruffy with his reversed teeth. And he's also got a sunshine sort of glow off to the side there. Here is Thomas and Mr. Scruffy inside their boxes. The little magnet icon, which I forgot to point out with Gordon, is Drina Patel. Back in the box, Zipple. Except, I want to point out Scruffy's translated names. We got Smirik and C.K. Pound. I really hope I pronounced that right. But, Nitrogen Thomas. Production date is 111th day of 2026. Same as Rosie number 4. Let's open him up. Alright, coming in for the unboxing. Out to come Easy Perforated Edge. And unlike Gordon, he has the keyholes on everything. We're just gonna skip over that because we already looked at it briefly with Gordon. Twist these all 90 degrees. Is that a bit of glue? Yeah, that's probably a bit of glue overhang. And all 2 of our components, whoop, are free. So before we look at the main attraction of this pack, we're going to take a quick brief look at Thomas here. And he is pretty much exactly the same as the Thomas that I got in the Cranky's Dockside Delivery set. Except his handrails seem to have been printed pretty good on this side, the side you see in the box. But this side, they seem to have gotten a little scraped and scratched. I wonder, is there ever going to be a Thomas out there with perfect handrails? Who knows? And another thing I will point out is that, oh, that's interesting. There's a bit of extra plastic hanging over on this front wheel. I think there was like that on either the 4th Rosie or the extra diesel that I got. Another thing I'll point out with this Thomas is that, yes, Mattel, and their silly promo images varying from the actual final toy. Mattel will never get over that, will they? In the promo, for some reason, Thomas is missing the little bit of dark blue print to outline his space between his wheel arch and his boiler. But on the final model, it has it. I don't know why this detail was missing from the promo, but it was. But other than that, it is pretty much identical to the Thomas from the Cranky set. So there's really not much to say about this. Except he looks very, very, very interesting. And then this one also had a bit of a wonky sticker on it. But let's just jump straight to the performance test. So we're gonna unscrew this Thomas here. And yes, he has 111th day of 2026. Gonna pop a battery in. I'm not sure how fast that is. But when compared to speeds at the moment, that definitely looks faster than the Cranky Thomas. Look at how fast those wheels are spinning. That definitely seems faster than the Cranky Thomas, I will say that. get that screw back in. Oh yeah, that is definitely faster. He's curving a little bit because this extra bit of plastic on this front wheel is getting caught on the table surface, and it's just causing him to slide and turn. Really hope this doesn't cause havoc in the running session. I might find a way to just chip that off or shave that off. But yeah, that was our quick look at Thomas. Now let's move on to the main attraction of this pack. Mr. Scruffy. So here is Scruffy, and we're gonna start off by looking at this big face of his. And honestly, I can kind of say that this does kind of look like a Scruffy face, except for the fact that they reversed the teeth on him. And now he has like a full row of teeth, except he's missing one. Honestly, looking at this face, he sounds like the kind of guy who's just like, oh, I'm the big bad truck, and I'm gonna blow your house down with a huff and a puff, and I'll blow it down. But yeah, he's also got a much bigger face compared to like all the other trucks. So they had to adjust the front of the All Engines Go truck thing again. I don't know why they adjusted it again, considering that on the actual normal truck, it probably would have been perfectly distanced for this giant face. And it's even clipped into the truck differently compared to all the other trucks, which is also interesting. Moving on to the side, he's got the nice planking detail, which none of the other trucks have. He's also got this name board and stuff on separated bolted planks. And what's even more interesting is, for some reason, they are indented further into the thing here than these little planky things are. So like they are, I don't know what the word to use is, they're embedded further into the truck than these planks. So there's like a gap between there, and you can really see it. Like, I don't think that's realistic. So what they had to do was cut these, like, I'm just referring to this in like in canon universe, right? So they would have had to cut these planks up to get these little boards onto him. Because like up here, they sort of line up a bit more, but they're like the same height as those. So they would have had to cut all of these little orange planks up into like little scrappy things just so they could get these little boards onto him. Like what? And it's the same on the other side too as well. Also, I should mention, the font they used on Scruffy's name and stuff here is the Knapford bold text. I don't even know if they use Sodor bold anymore, because on pretty much all the instructions for like the CGI stuff, they actually used Knapford bold instead of Sodor bold. And I know that because I put the instructions into Adobe Illustrator. But looking at the back, we got the All Engines Go planking. Here's the inside with the interesting planking. But yeah, honestly, not a bad take on Scruffy. I really honestly cannot wait to see what they do with him in this new show. Please hurry up and come out, show. I want to really see what the heck they're gonna do with this. Oh yeah, also, his wheels are the same color as his main truck body. So that's another interesting take. And also his running board is black instead of orange. And it is also like that on the render. Now we're gonna compare this guy to a few other Scruffies. The first Scruffy we're gonna compare him to is the Tommy Scruffy. We're gonna start off with the non-restored one. Here is the face. I'll say both of these faces do look pretty spot on to each other. They really kind of look equal to each other in terms of like the way the mouth is positioned, the eyes are positioned the same, and he also has the blue eyes. This is the second truck to have blue eyes, by the way. Third. I will get to that in the push-on truck review. But yeah, they look kind of similar. It's just the face is ginormous on this one compared to this one. The only real difference, really, is that his teeth are inverted. This one just has the one buck tooth. This one is just missing a tooth. As for the side detail, I can't really compare this because I kind of ruined my Scruffy, which is why I brought this one into the equation. But you can see they both have like the orange planking detail. This one has the orange undercarriage compared to this one, which is black. Here's the inside. Also, this one's more of a blue. More of like a bluish gray, while this one's more of a gray type gray. Very interesting. Compared to this one, the lettering on this one is more freelanced, and it's also painted on. With this one, you actually have a defined font that they use, which is Knapford Bold. This one's just more freelanced and painted on to match how the actual prop looked, which was also just painted on text and not a specific font or anything. But yeah, that was the comparison between the Tommy Scruffy. Let's move on to the next comparison. The next comparison we're going to do is the Hit Toy Company Scruffy. Now, in terms of face, I will say I love the Hit Toys face a lot more than this giant face. This face looks more generic compared to the face on the Hit Toys one. Also, these buffers were not painted. These were done by the original eBay seller. So normally these buffers would be orange, like the running board. Same with these little planky things. Those would also be orange. But here is the side. As you can see, they're kind of similar because both of these actually have rivet detailing. And interestingly, this one has the thicker part at the back, while the thinner part is at the front. This one's mirrored where the thicker part is at the front and the thinner part is at the back, but I'm pretty sure it was like that on the original truck mold for this. Yep, it was. Thicker part at the front, thinner part at the back. So yeah, that is pretty much normal. And again, the color difference. This one's a more gray, this one's a more bluish gray. And then this one has the defined Knapford font. This one just has freelanced painted on font to match the prop. Here's the insides. Here's the back. I will say the Hit Toys one wins for the back detailing. Here is the other side. Oops. Like so. Honestly, I like how both Scruffies did it here. They're both interesting in terms of their own ways. Also, it is still very interesting how they kept all Scruffy's lettering on his side, considering they're trying to do away with the English language in this new series. So the fact Scruffy gets to keep all of his lettering, but like others like that have actual names don't. I mean, I can understand it but like it's a company name. Scruffy is a company name. And that is how he got his name. So it kind of makes sense as to why he has all of his lettering on his side. But yeah, that was the comparison between the Hit Toy Company Scruffy. But we also have one more Scruffy I want to compare this guy to. And that is the 2017 Wooden Railway / 2018 Wood Scruffy. And I'm only doing this because they both have La Magneto. So, starting off with the front, the faces kind of like the Tommy one, almost look kind of identical to each other. They've got the same sort of grump, and the same sort of grumpy, sort of frowny, sort of downward mouth on this. But I still like the mouth on this one here with the one buck tooth compared to the missing tooth. It makes him look more like a mean sort of criminal or something, instead of like the usual Scruffy we're used to. He looks like some sort of criminal who would smoke in like the back of the supermarket or something and just be like, you want these kids? You probably shouldn't have them, but you want them. Here is the sides. Both of them have the... So let's do this side, because it's a bit better, and we don't have the giant gaping button. Here's the sides. They both got that orange planking. This one, I like the wood Scruffy more than the 2017 Wooden Railway one, because it's got nice printed details instead of like ugly painted ones, so that it's more defined and everything. And just like the motorized ones, this one has just the freelanced sort of like painted on style of lettering. Well, this one has the defined Sodor bold or Knapford bold or whatever you want to call it. This one also has the nice sparky details. This one, these both have advantages because they both have the black undercarriage, except this one doesn't have, this is like the only one that doesn't have gray wheels. It has black wheels. It doesn't have the bluish gray wheels. I think the body, not counting the actual plastic color, because I know that's gray compared to bluish gray, but in terms of the plank printing, I'm pretty sure the plank printing is also bluish gray. So for once, we have a Scruffy that matches in terms of body color, not counting the plastic color. But yeah, that was the comparison between the Thomas Wood Scruffy. Okay, so bonus add-on to the Scruffy part, but I may have just noticed another difference with the Scruffy compared to the other 2026 truck. Look at the planking here, the inside planking. This board, this first board is exactly the same as this truck here. The second board is different. It's been moved over here and has been flipped around for some reason. I may need to grab the 80th truck and bring that in too. Okay, it even varies from the 80th truck. The first two planks are exactly the same as the 80th truck, except this one has a little less detail here compared to here, where it has a bit more planking. The third plank is different, however. This third plank right here is what is seen right here, and what is actually the second plank on this truck. What is going on with shifting the planks around on all of these darn trucks? So, what are my final thoughts on the Thomas and Scruffy motorized pack? This is definitely the better one of the two Thomas packs they did for motorized, and this is the one you should definitely pick up. Just skip over to Wave 1 Thomas, go for this one instead. It is so much better, as even though you're probably going to get 1,000 more Thomases if you buy the sets, you get Mr. Scruffy in this one rather than just a generic faceless truck. Who cares about a generic faceless brew truck, am I right? This is the better Thomas pack. So yeah, what is my final rating on this pack? I'd give it, like, I don't know what I'd give it. In terms of like the way this is set up with how we get Thomas with it, would have been interesting if we got like a different character instead of Thomas, like a character that wasn't in the line already with Scruffy. Then it'd probably go up higher, but since we got Thomas with it, I'd give it like a 6.5, maybe 7 out of 10. I don't know. Standard Thomas pack with the blue truck would probably get 5 out of 10. This here gets 6.5, maybe 7. I'd say seven's a good rating. 7 out of 10. I'd say that's a nice rating. But what do you say we bring these two down the track and give them their true performance test now? Alright, so here we are, down at the layout. The first engine we're going to give our test to is Mr. Gordon. So we're going to set him off light engine first, and then we're going to give him a cargo challenge. Away he goes. That speed isn't looking too great. We're gonna see if he does the hill climb. That was an alright hill climb. Not the greatest, but it didn't look like he strained too much. We're gonna stop at the cranky stop, see if he comes to a stop. Yep, he comes to a stop. Powers cranky nicely, even though he doesn't actually work properly with this set because he's got that permanently attached tender, so he can't even do the proper cargo drop and deliver. Yeah, we're gonna see that hill climb again. Alright, hill climb, no straining. Let's move on to the hauling challenge. Alright, so I've got 6 empty wagons, one of them being Scruffy at the back here. We're gonna send Gordon off. That speed seems to have been slowed. Technically, Gordon's hauling 7 things if you count his tender. He's coming up to the hill. Oh dear, and he's stuck. Great. I decided to take Scruffy off to make it more fair to everyone else, as they were pulling 6. Gordon's tender counts as 1. So 6 things Gordon is hauling. Can he do that? No, he can't. So Gordon is going to have to go into the workshop for repairs. But in the meantime, let's test Thomas and Scruffy. So we're gonna start them off just by their own 2-car consist. That speed definitely looks a lot better than Gordon. I will say that. Going up the hill, he had a little bit of a slowdown there. And of course, Scruffy on couples. Coming around to the cranky stopper. Will he stop? Yes, he will stop. Let's see that hill climb one more time. Yeah, it is a little bit of a slowdown. Let's go on to the hauling challenge. Alright, 6 empty wagons. Scruffy counts as 1. We're gonna send him off. The speed has slowed a little bit, it seems. We're gonna see him do the hill climb here. He's straining, he's struggling. Oh, he only just did it. Only just. That still wasn't too good, but he only just did it. I bet if these had loads inside of them, he'd get stuck. But let's see that hill climb one more time. Let's see if he gets stuck this time around. Oh, and oh, he's really struggling to get up that hill there. That is not looking good. So I am going to have to send both of these two engines into the workshop, it seems. Give me a few moments and I'll be right back. Okay, quick little extra thing before I head into the workshop. This is the Thomas that came with the Scruffy pack. It's got 111th day of 2026. This is the Thomas from the Cranky set, as it has January 31st, 2026 production date. This Thomas, I've got him hooked up to the 6-car consist. He is a lot stronger than the Thomas that came with the Scruffy pack. As you can see, when it'll come to the hill climb, look at that, there was a little bit of strain, but holy moly, he powered through that climb. And he unhooked from the train. So yeah, despite being the slower one of the two Thomases that I have, he somehow has more power than this one. I think now is time we go into the workshop. So I just opened this new Thomas up and there is absolutely zero grease on this gear shaft or this drive gear. I think this is the first one that I've opened up that has absolutely no grease on it at all. Alright, so I've gone in and greased up Thomas's gears with what is totally gear grease, am I right? I also went in and did the little method that I ended up doing to fix the Rosies, and I'm gonna see if that helps as well. Alright, so I have both lubricated and adjusted the prongs on Thomas, and just for proof, this is the Thomas that came with the Scruffy pack, 111th day of 2026 production date. I'm gonna send them off. That speed definitely looks a little better. Coming up through the hill climb. Much improved there. I mean, he still struggles a little bit, but I think he's at the same level of performance as the Cranky Thomas now. So that is good to know. Let's see that hill climb one more time. Yeah, he definitely strains a little bit, but it definitely wasn't as much of a strain as it was before. Go, Thomas, go. So I went in and I pronged up Gordon's springs a bit. We're gonna test it with just the 5 trucks plus the tender first to make it 6. And then we'll add on Scruffy at the back if necessary. And Gordon's already jumping the track, but that speed definitely looks improved. That speed definitely looks improved. Coming up to the hill. Oh, yes! Oh, yes! That is what you call true performance. Gordon has been fixed. Look at him go. Let's see that hill climb one more time. Look at that power! Look at that power! And he's gonna uncouple every time, isn't he? And send him around the back route. See how that bogey handles it. How it handles the switches. Seems like it handled it all right. One more time for the hill climb. Express coming through! Alright, I added Scruffy onto the back because I know you all want to see, can he do 7 after these repairs? Up the hill climb. Done with style! Look at that! All powerful, all tuned up Gordon. Pulling 6 trucks plus his tender. With absolute style. And the trucks almost went haywire there. Let's send him around the back route. Down he goes. That little front trailing wheel doesn't seem to be derailing. One more time for the hill climb. Go, Gordon, go. And he uncouples at the end. So now that these two have been fully repaired, what do you say we give them a proper run around the track along with all the other engines that I have? And that was the running session of the new 2026 Motorized Gordon and Thomas and Scruffy. That marks the end of this review, and the next video will be yet another review, and you should probably already know what it is on because you saw me allude to it in the Rosie review, and that is these two right here. Wait a minute. Why do I feel like I have the feeling that there is something else hiding beneath here? Oh!